My wife and brother had a baby behind my back. When I refused to pay for it, my mom showed up at my job screaming I was ruining everything. Last year, my brother reached out after years of silence, said he wanted to reconnect. Growing up, he was always the favorite and I was background noise. He got the best of everything while I just existed in the margins. But I figured maybe people change. Maybe he genuinely wanted to fix things, so I let him back in. At first, everything seemed fine. He started coming around more and I introduced him to my wife, Sarah. They got along well. Too well, actually. A few months in, he's visiting constantly, sometimes when I'm not even home. My wife said they were just hanging out, watching shows, talking about life, but something felt wrong in my gut. Then she announced she was pregnant. I was over the moon at first. We'd been married 3 years and this felt like the perfect next step, but I started noticing my brother got weird about it. He'd touch her stomach without asking, make jokes about the baby having his eyes, say things like, can't wait to meet my little buddy, in this tone that made my skin crawl. I tried convincing myself I was being paranoid, that I was reading too much into innocent comments, but the feeling wouldn't go away. One night I couldn't sleep. Sarah was passed out next to me and her phone kept buzzing on the nightstand. I grabbed it. No password because we trusted each other, or so I thought. Found months of messages between her and my brother, explicit texts, plans to meet up, discussions about how to handle the situation when the baby came, how they'd break it to me gently. The baby wasn't mine, it was his. I sat there in the dark staring at the screen for what felt like hours, reading through months of lies, months of them laughing behind my back while I worked overtime to save for the nursery. I woke her up, showed her the phone. She tried denying it at first, but the evidence was right there in her own words. Finally, she admitted everything, said they'd been seeing each other for 6 months, said they were planning to tell me after the birth because they didn't want to stress me out before the baby came. Like that made it better. I packed a bag and left that night, stayed at a motel, couldn't even look at either of them. The next day I called my parents, told them everything, expected them to be as horrified as I was. Instead, my mom said, well, these things happen, and my dad told me to forgive him. Said my brother made a mistake and I needed to be the bigger person for the sake of keeping the family together. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The same parents who spent my entire childhood putting him on a pedestal were now asking me to forgive him for destroying my marriage. I told them I was done with all of them and hung up. I filed for divorce immediately. Sarah tried taking everything in the settlement, had her lawyer paint me as controlling and cold. My own parents backed her story, said I was always emotionally distant. In the end, she walked away with a chunk of my savings, but I kept the house. Small victory. That was 8 months ago. I thought cutting them off would be the end of it. I was wrong. 2 months after the divorce, my mom calls out of nowhere, says they're struggling financially with the baby. My brother can't find steady work. Sarah's overwhelmed. She asks if I can help them out. You know, since I'm doing so well in their family. I actually laughed, asked if she was serious. She kept pushing, said the baby didn't ask to be born into this situation, that I should be the bigger person. I told her no and hung up. A week later, my brother shows up at my apartment, gives me this whole sob story about how hard things are, how he made a mistake but he's trying to be a good father now, asks if I can loan them some money just until he gets back on his feet. I told him to get off my property. Then my dad called, same guilt trip, same family is everything speech. I blocked his number. Then my ex-wife texted from a new number, crying about how they can barely afford diapers, how I'm punishing an innocent baby. I blocked that too. For 3 weeks they took turns, different family members calling with different angles. My aunt said I was being cruel. My cousin said I was holding a grudge, all of them acting like I was the villain for not bankrolling the people who betrayed me. Then yesterday I'm at work in the middle of a client presentation when my manager pulls me aside, says there's a situation in the lobby. I walk out and there's my mom, screaming at the receptionist about how I'm abandoning my nephew, how I'm tearing the family apart over my hurt feelings. She sees me and starts yelling louder. Clients in the waiting area are recording on their phones. I didn't say a word to her, just nodded at security, and they escorted her out while she screamed about what a selfish son I was. I walked back to the conference room, apologized to my clients, finished the presentation. Then I went back to my office, called my lawyer, and had him file for a restraining order against all of them. Turns out my mom's little performance got caught on the building's security cameras and several client phones, which made the harassment case pretty solid.